We're looking at a couple of different rear sights here. There's a couple different versions of fixed sights that we represent here. This is a Yankee Hill machine fixed rear sight with the XS Systems Paul Howe CSAT rear sight with where it uses a aperture as well as a notch for close range shooting. That's pretty durable. 2 screws to hold it on with the standard A2 adjustments, elevation and windage adjustments. Another fixed sight that we're looking at here is a Danial Defense rifle with their new Danial Defense Rear Sight, which I prefer having an A1 type windage adjustment. It's a lot more robust. There's not this to get people to turn it and move it and change your adjustments. You have to actually push a D10 in with like a bullet nose to get it to turn, so it's a little more robust. Has a single screw through here, just a standard A2 type flip peep. Very kind of heavy duty, simple little sight. The other sights we're going to look at here are going to be some flip up sights. This is the Troy Industries, which is one that I've run on all my guns. I prefer to have one that I can fold out of the way when I'm using optics. I don't have to have it in my sight picture. The Troy locks up really well. It uses an A1 type windage adjustment, so it's not going to get bumped out of whack. You have to depress a D10. It has a same plane aperture, which is a much improvement over a standard A2 type aperture, where both your large peep and your small peep are on the same plane, will give you the same point of impact at a different distance. Another pretty new to the market but a pretty viable rear sight is the Magpul MOE series of rear sights. It's made out of polymer. It's probably not as robust as like a Troy Industries, for instance, but you can basically push this down. It spring loads up. It does have a windage type knob on here that you can turn and click. The small peep, it's kind of different system. You have to grab it and flip it out of the way forward, then you have just access to your rear peep. They do lay pretty flat on the rail, and they're pretty inexpensive. They're about roughly half the price of like a comparable Troy Industries rear sight. Another sight system here is like on this Stag, for instance, is just a standard A3 type removable carry handle, which gives you your A2 windage and elevation knobs. Standard A2 peep. We're all pretty familiar with this system, but that's a good system if you're just going to run iron sights and you don't need to add optics or anything. Another pretty popular iron sight on this Stag, for instance, this is an MI, Midwest Industries. Pretty similar to like a GG&G A2 sight. Again, it uses a standard A2 type windage adjustment, an A2 peep. It doesn't lock up as solid as like a Troy, for instance, or some of the other more higher quality sights, but it's still a decent sight. The locking detent is a little bit smaller. Right here is what locks it in, so you depress that and that folds. Again, it doesn't fold quite as flat as like a Magpul or a Troy, but it's a pretty serviceable sight. Another pretty popular rear sight these days is the Matech sight, which is one of a real common issue sight. This one utilizes a single kind of tongue depressor looking deal with just a single peep in it. It's a smaller peep, it's not a large peep. And to activate this, to employ it, all you do is flip it up, and it's spring loaded and it locks it in the up position. Well, it doesn't lock, I'm sorry, but it's spring loaded in the up position. And then its kind of claim to fame is it uses this, it has adjustments from 2 to 600 meters. You can build right into the peep sight like that for making long range engagements with a backup sight. And that comes standard on this Colt 6940. It's a good representation of the most common rear sights out there. Another, this is a standard A1 type sight on an earlier Colt SP1. So again, the A1, unless you're going to be, you know, at a match making windage adjustments, like with the A2 sight where you can just grab it with your hand and turn a dial, I much prefer for a hard use type gun having an A1 type adjustment where it's not going to get knocked out of whack. Nobody's going to come up and turn it when you're not paying attention. The A1 series uses a little bit different peep. It's not on the same plane, and it doesn't use a very large aperture and a smaller peep. They're both approximately the same size, but pretty durable system.